Reaching the technical interview stage at BP is a great achievement. It's the penultimate stage in the process, and it's your first opportunity to meet and interact with BP employees from the area of the business you're applying to. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding on what you can expect from a technical interview at BP, as I know it may be new to a lot of you. You'll also come away with some tips on how best to prepare to help build your confidence and set you up for success. I'm Georgina, and I've been working in the BP Early Careers team for the last 3 years. During that time, I've supported many candidates as they've prepared for and attended their technical interview. So let's get started. In this video, I'll be covering what you can expect from a technical interview, how best to prepare, and some tips for success in the interview itself. So what is the technical interview? What can you expect? As I said earlier, the technical interview is the penultimate stage in the early careers recruitment process at BP. It usually takes place in person at one of our offices. However, this year we'll be conducting all interviews virtually. Our technical interviews are discipline specific and are conducted by 1 or 2 technical interviewers from the discipline you're applying to. The format of the interview is usually a scenario-based case study set within the energy industry that you work through with your interviewers. It's designed to mirror the complexities and challenges we face on a day-to-day basis, so it should also give you an insight into the type of work you could be doing if you were to join us. How to prepare for your technical interview at BP. So the technical interview is your opportunity to showcase your technical knowledge and how you would apply that knowledge to real scenarios you could come up against if you were to join us. You don't need to spend hours and hours researching the energy industry online before your interview. Instead, I'd recommend taking time to read through the job description, making sure you really understand it. Try to imagine yourself in the role and start to think about how you would approach day-to-day challenges you may face. It would also be helpful to keep up to date with news related to our plans to reimagine energy and reinvent BP. All the up-to-date information is on our website. Every discipline that we recruit into has a key role to play in reimagining the future of global energy. So by doing some reading on this beforehand, it can really help you in considering this in your responses. I would also suggest you pre-prepare some questions ahead of your interview. Most importantly, this is so you can come away from the interview having learnt more about BP and how your chosen discipline is supporting our plans to reimagine energy. Your interviewers will be experienced professionals from the discipline you're applying to, so will have a wealth of knowledge and experiences they can share to help bring to life the types of projects you could be working on if you were to join us. And lastly, please do let your recruiter know in advance of the day if you require any adjustments to the technical interview stage, for example, due to injury, illness, or disability. So you should now be familiar with what to expect from a technical interview at BP, and you've got some tips to help you prepare. I hope you're now feeling more confident and ready for a technical interview with us. I just have a few final tips to share with you to help set you up for success in the interview itself. Number 1. If you need to take a few moments to gather your thoughts before answering the question, that's completely fine. Just let your interviewers know. We'd much rather you take a few moments to think things through than to rush into answering a question you haven't fully understood. There may also be some timed elements to the interview. For example, you may have some allocated time to read through some information and prepare a response. Don't feel you need to rush through this. Take as much of the allocated time as you need. As I said, we'd much rather you take this time than to rush into answering the question before you've thought it through. Point number 2, make sure you're structuring your responses and answering the question you're being asked. Don't go straight into explaining the most complex technical concept. Instead, make sure you've explained to your interviewers how you've got to that point. And that leads me on to point number 3. It's really important that you speak your thought process out loud to your interviewers. They are just as interested to know how you got to your answer as they are the answer itself. And finally, try and enjoy it. I know that's easier said than done, but try to think of this interview as more of a conversation between colleagues, you and your interviewers. I know the technical interview stage is new to a lot of you. I speak to many candidates who are most nervous about this stage of the application process. However, the majority come out having enjoyed it. I often hear how the interviews allowed them to challenge their thinking, question their assumptions, and not to mention it's a great opportunity to meet with BP employees from the area of the business you'd like to join, and hopefully to come away with a much greater insight into BP. So that's what you can expect from a technical interview, how best to prepare, and some tips for success in the interview itself. Keep a lookout for the next video, which is all about preparing for the exploration day. And best of luck for your application to BP.